Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Beyond Bitcoin show. Today is January the 26th, 2019. Buy and hold. Strong hand, just like the shirt says. Unconfiscatable. Doesn't say that. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Personal responsibility is a new counterculture, and deferral, gratification, and conviction. All of those last three things are going to be really important when we're on the Beyond Bitcoin show. Now, remember, I do this Beyond Bitcoin show every Saturday. And if you're on the East Coast of the United States, it's been falling around 4 p.m. Now it's 2:30 p.m. where you are. So it's on in the afternoon on Saturdays. Check it out. Check out last week's show. The shows they stay relevant for quite a while. So check out at disruptmeister.com. You can see every one of my shows. I do a new show every day, but the Beyond Bitcoin show is a different show. It appeals to a different audience. I have different fans who like it. So check out all the old ones. They are at disruptmeister.com, including last week's. And some of these things can go on for like 45 minutes sometimes. And play them at 2x or 1.5x. Just play them faster if you're not watching them live, so you can just get through them. I mean, I do that with all the videos I watch, and I never need to watch a video live. I enjoy watching videos taped. I like to be focused, and listening comprehension. You can do listening comprehension very well when you're actually paying attention instead of just some people just go to the chat so they can curse at other people, and I don't know, or curse at me, and I don't even read the chat until afterwards, unless you do the super chat. All right, moving on. And this week at Bitcoin show was great yesterday. We had three guests that really got along well, really meshed interestingly. Two of them hadn't been on the show before, so I'll just leave it at that. It was a great show. Check out yesterday's This Week in Bitcoin show at techbalt.com, and follow me, of course, at techbalt, TECHBALT on Twitter, and Bitcoin Meister. That's my name, right? That really is my last name. I'm Adam Meister on Steemit. Okay, so we're gonna get into controversial subjects because remember, this is Beyond Bitcoin. I'll talk a little bit about Bitcoin, but we talk about current events, all the distractions that are out there that you shouldn't let waste your time. Don't get distracted too much, people. But yeah, there is more to life than Bitcoin. You get involved with other discussions. So why not talk about some other issues? So for me, it's I have a simple ethics here, and maybe is this too big of a simplification? What I'm going to say, I don't think so. I would not want to be aborted. I mean, would you want to be aborted? If you afterwards, does any grown up, any adult think like, wow, I wish I would have been aborted? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, any healthy, no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. So how can I participate or encourage other people to do abortions if I myself would not want to be aborted? And I wonder if some of these, do they actually think like, well, would I want to be aborted? Would I not want to enter into this world? Would I want that opportunity taken away from me? I would rather live with would you rather live with an adopted family than not exist? At least I'm the kind of person, I want a chance. I want a chance, if the odds are completely stacked against me, if I still have a chance, I still have a chance. I was telling the story of my grandmother last week. They wanted her to go into hospice. And she went, what the heck? She wanted to live. She still had a chance, and she proved them all wrong. She's alive today. She's fine. Well, not fine, but she's encouraging. But they wanted her to go to hospice. We're in this world where, like, I don't know, what life has been minimized. The value of life has been totally minimized. So for me, it's very simple. So yeah, I would never abort. No, I wouldn't. No, I would not abort. And I don't, I'm not a pro-choice person. What you're going to do what you're going to do. Okay. You could do what you're going to do. It's personal responsibility, but I'm going to talk the way I'm going to talk. And if you have an abortion, or if you know someone that's abortion, you're probably going to be like, you're going to be angry when you hear people like me talking, but you got to think about that before you go through with it. Okay. This is the real world. Words, if you don't like words, you're not going to do too well in this world. And today, most people Yeah, when their feelings get hurt, they go wacko, and they want you to be silenced, or worse. So I'm just saying, you do. I would never participate in abortion or encourage people to do abortions. I realize people are going to do them. I think it's sickening. I think to the barbaric people who put on World War II. When I think about that, the people that were in charge of Germany were into that. That type of sickening type of thing. Just euthanasia, and all these killing people that were unwanted, and it sickens me. And the bottom line is, I would not want to be aborted. So this has come up because of they had the March for Life. Okay. Now again, I'm not a guy that needs to go to the March for Life and to do this, hold signs or whatever. I'm just telling you my simple opinion on this, and that I wouldn't want to be aborted. So I don't think it's right. You don't abort. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. But I think it's great that I can say this. So many people can't just give simple opinions like this. They think they're going to be fired. They want to fit in, because today in mainstream society, if you say things like this, you're going to be fired. You're not going to have friends. Fitting in is overrated. Pound that like button. Fitting in is overrated. But Matt Walsh, he has a show on Ben Shapiro's channel, and I linked to it below. Now, in the state of New York, they just made late-term abortions legal. So I've heard. And am I going to get too worked up about this? I think it's disgusting. I'm going to tell you that, but I can't stop a person from doing that. I can, if they stumble upon the show and this affects them, this affects them. But Matt Walsh said, he said that he described one of the procedures that can be done. Now, I looked up what it's in the third trimester, what they do. And there's a lot of different options. Now, this option I did not read about. Now, he says this is something that happens. This is common, what I'm about to describe here. Now, I hope you're not a kid watching this, but apparently they put a needle. Somehow it gets into the baby's head, I guess through the mother, and it poisons and it kills the baby. And he says it can be painful for the baby. I would think, yeah, if you got a needle in your head, it would be painful. And so the baby dies in the mom, and then eventually she gives birth to a dead baby. And sometimes it's not the hospital. Sometimes she might just do it in a bathtub. Now that was his description, which was grotesque, obviously. And I linked to it below. Now, if this is true, if what he said is true, if this happens, if this is an option, what I just said is an option, and the people who are performing this procedure, if they don't tell the people this is what we're going to do, they have to tell. It is so wrong not to, if you're doing this procedure and you don't describe it to the person you're about to do it to. We use the term abortion. It's like it makes it sterilizes it. It makes it seem, I'm just having you don't say, well, I'm sticking a needle in a baby's head and then it's going to come out dead out of me, and it might come out in a bathtub. It just randomly pop out of me. I've seen the pictures of earlier stage abortions, and you got parts of babies coming out and they rip it. This is the people putting all these procedures. They should tell the people exactly what they're doing. Even if the person's, God forbid, 16 years old, 17 years old, or whatever it is, you got to tell what you're doing, because you're doing the procedure. You're personally responsible for this. And if you don't tell them what you're doing, you're lying. And that's just wrong, man. That's just totally wrong. The people who do describe these things, it's freedom of speech. Describe it. Some people are just like, you can't. Oh, how can you describe the procedure? It should all be out there so people know what they're getting into when they're doing these things. They really should know what they're getting into, and that it's not just an abortion. They should know what the abortion consists of. It. Let me tell you something. After what I just described, the needle in the head and perhaps the baby popping out of the person dead before they get to the hospital, I don't see how a human could go through with that. I really don't see how a person could go through that procedure for a baby that's eight months, been in them for 8 months, how they could do such a thing, how they could not think they're killing something after they're told, well, we're going to stick a needle in you, it's going to go in the baby's brain, and the baby's going to come out dead. How they can. That's a sick person who can go through with that, knowing every single thing that I just said. Now, again, I'm giving the people that actually have this done to them the benefit of the doubt that they're not being told exactly what's going to happen. But once you're told that, and if the baby's if the baby's no threat to you, I don't see I just don't see how a human could do that. Knowing all those things. All right. So, that's so for me, a guy, I work for myself, I got Bitcoin, I can say things like that. This is the freedom. So a lot of people have even stronger opinions of this than I do, but they can't even express it. And they're just burning out inside. Wouldn't you like to be in the Bitcoin overlay so you can just make videos like this and just not having to worry what anyone thinks of you, because fitting in is overrated, not having to worry about being fired. And just knowing that you have the Bitcoin in your savings, it's unconfiscatable. No one can take the Bitcoin away. Now, again, like my bank, one day my bank will perhaps say like, well, back in 2019, Adam made a video talking about late-term abortions. We don't want to do business with him anymore. Fine. What will that do to me? I'll have all my Bitcoin. But again, we're getting to the point when banks, and I think it's their right. If they didn't want to deal with people who say certain things, then let them get rid of the people. Because now on this planet, we have the power. We can be our own banks because of Bitcoin. So, yeah, sure, banks discriminate against who you want to. I don't give a darn, because I got my own bank, and you can't take that bank away from me. So Venezuela updates. A lot of people are talking about Venezuela, and there's some people on I guess they're conspiratorial-minded people. I don't know if they're liberal. I think some of them are liberal. I don't know if there are any conservatives that are saying, there's some that are relatively conservative that I've heard say things like this, that it's a United States coup. This is all for the benefit of the United States. Maduro was elected by the people, making it seem like the people are enjoying the situation there. I mean, the people who've been watching my channel now for quite some time, since I've had my guest on from Venezuela, I mean, I have real people from Venezuela in Venezuela telling us all what's really going on there. And it's horrible. It's horrible. How can you blame the United States? How can you say that this guy that's now the new president, that this is just some United States plot? It's all this is greed on the part of the United States. These people there are suffering. Who in their right mind that would want Maduro? Who in their right mind would continue living under the situation they're living under, printing up petros and doing this and doing that and doing whatsoever? There's got to be some personal responsibility there. The people, the leaders of Venezuela have dug a very big hole there. Okay. And it's you can say United States sanctions, you can say this, that, and the other. If they were, they could run. You can run your country successfully without being friends with the United States, okay? And this isn't just what's going on there now. People are saying, it's fake. They really didn't have a rally. It's just United States propaganda. It's just terrible. It's like the flat earthers. That I equivalent make that. It's the same thing as flat earth people, just making up these silly statements because I guess they want attention and they want to have simple explanations for everything. So I want to read you something from someone in Venezuela. There's a real person, and some of you know who he is. As the U.S. does not recognize Maduro as president, the new one, Juan Guaido, has the right to name the new CEO of Citgo, which is the company that handles the oil sales in the U.S. That means they can take away the control of the main source of income of Maduro's regime, which is a checkmate, if you ask me. The economic crisis will get worse for some time, but I think this is the step we need to end this once and for all. Without money, the government will not be able to bribe the military forces, and they will sooner or later turn their back on them. Okay, so think about it. So some of you are going to say, well, Adam, you said the United States is the one that's going to, they're recognizing the president so that so the oil is now controlled by this new president, so the United States can get the oil from them, and this is going to be harmful to Venezuela. And so in the short term, they're going to have some economic problems if this all happens, okay? But we got to think long term here. This is what this dude is saying. They're under a military rule right now. Okay, it's only the military that keeps Maduro in power, that keeps the current situation the way it is the military, and they're bribed. And once Maduro is without money anymore, and it will be with help from the United States, but it's definitely for the people. This is not for the greed of the United States. The people are living under a military. I mean, it's only the military that supports Maduro now. If it wasn't the military supporting him, then he would not be the leader anymore. Okay, that'd be it. The United States is not invading there or anything like this. So for people who say, well, it's none of our business, it's none of this, you know what? A step has been taken. Some people clearly want Juan Guaido. The United States and many other countries see this, and they're just like, well, we're going to do what we're going to do to help Juan Guaido out. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that in the long term, okay? In the long term, this is going to help Venezuela a lot. Here's a guy writing to me who says, I'm pretty excited. This is really good news. This is what he says. This is not like the United States is not imposing its will on the Venezuelan people. They're tired of this. The smart ones, the productive ones, so many people have left. I mean, I don't see how anyone could be left that supports what's going on there now. Maybe there are a few. Okay, not everyone's. It's not a perfect. It's not going to be a unanimous situation. But no, people are really marching on the streets now. People have clearly been fed up with the situation there for a while. Why is Bitcoin so popular there? I mean, again, this is not make-believe here. This is not United States imperialism or whatever all these nonsense people want to come up with excuses for and everything. It's terrible down there. It's not fun. And we've had people in the show who have said this before. And I'm not. I don't work for the United States government. I'm not here to. I'm not saying, and we shouldn't invade. I think that what's going on, the situation is progressing perfectly. Okay, it's progressing perfectly without. There doesn't need to be a military invasion by the United States of America or anything. Okay, and he also says, update: the U.S. Embassy is sending staff people to the U.S. right now. They should be leaving Venezuela and this was yesterday, I think, on American Airlines flight at 12:45 p.m. The only ones staying are the ambassador and other important people. So they are taking some precautions in case Maduro regime tries to force them to leave with military forces. Okay, because I talked about that, I think, on yesterday's show, the day before, so I forgot what day, that the United States was not going to abandon the embassy, that they're going to stick around, but Maduro wants them out. So it's leading to like kind of a messy situation. So not everybody is staying. I guess they're setting the families home, the unnecessary personnel. We'll see how this progresses. But again, I just want you to. The United States is not perfect. I'm not a fan of the government workers or anything like that. But it's not a source of evil in the world. Like so many people want to say, whatever side the United States takes is the wrong side. It's the wrong side. It's not going to help the people. The side they are taking, and Canada and France are taking, is the correct side in Venezuela. It's been a joke what's been going on for a while there, and they're going to speed up the process. And this Juan Guaido, I think he's not a rightist. I think he's a leftist anyway. But it's better than what the money printing and all the insanity. Juan Guaido has said positive things about Bitcoin before. Okay, that's better what they currently have. And again, it does come down to personal responsibility on a certain level. I know a lot of people have gotten out of there. A lot of people can't get out of there, though. So we shall see. And the United States is making it easier with this Citgo thing in the long run. All right. So during the day, you guys should work out. I work out during the day. There's a LinkedIn article. Exercise during the workday can be key. Yeah, I exercise during the workday. My work days, I know it's a little bit different than everybody else's. I work from wherever I'm staying at, but you can walk around. It's, long ago when I worked a regular 9-to-5 job, I would walk around during lunch. That's exercise right there. Walk around after dinner. Then just get some movement in there. Get some movement in there at times that you don't usually get some movement in there. And again, I stand up all day. I don't sit at a desk. I think that's helpful too. That article is not about that. I make my own standing desk wherever I go. On another show, I talked about a guy going through a really bad divorce situation in Maine. The Supreme Court there was going to send him to jail because he didn't have life insurance, even though he just had a heart attack and a stroke. So I tweeted something out in favor of the guy. I heard about him on Sandman's channel. So I linked to it below. You can retweet it, and that might help call attention to this guy. And again, I can do things like this because I'm in the Bitcoin overlay. No one can fire me. I can support so-called controversial movements or figures and not have to worry about it. So yeah, retweet that. Maybe some people will pick up on this guy who seems to be in a real bad situation. Again, if you do get married, this guy's at the end stage, okay? if I was in his situation, I would have my Bitcoin and I would have already left the country. Of course, I would never have gotten this deep into the situation that he's into. I mean, he's in deep, but he doesn't have Bitcoin, so yeah, he's in deep. He's in deep. You can check it out. It's linked to below. All right, Yahoo Finance. What is this story? Amazon Go, 1 year old, has attracted a host of cashierless imitators. Recognizes real world. Okay, so have you guys heard of this Amazon Go before? Like, they have these little stores. I think one was in Seattle. When I was in Seattle, they wanted me to visit it. Someone wanted me to visit it, but I didn't. You walk into the store and then you just pick up your merchandise and you don't pay. It recognizes what you picked up and it credits it and it charges you, and there's no cashiers. That's it. You just walk out with your stuff. And there's an article about this. And I thought about this, and it's very futuristic. Now, in high theft areas, like there's a mall in Baltimore City called Mondawmin Mall, and it's not in a good area, but a lot of different people go to it. People from around the area that's not that great, but then people from but there are not that many shopping options in Baltimore City, and so they put a Target there, and it was popular. I mean, you would see people from all sorts of neighborhoods there. Now, it closed down. Target closed down in Mondawmin because they wouldn't admit it, but it's because of stealing. It's because people steal. They had plenty of people come, but it's, there's issues when you open these. But what I was thinking is, like, if Amazon can master this, they will eliminate theft. They will eliminate theft at stores, and this will help inner city neighborhoods have businesses. And maybe it'll be Amazon Go will be operating, in inner city Detroit, in inner city Baltimore, in wherever, inner city St. Louis, and it'll be impossible for the people who do, in these neighborhoods, most people want to do good. Most people are not stealing. It's just that the amount of stealing is high enough that it puts the businesses, it costs the businesses a lot of money, and then it can intimidate others from coming when you see someone that gets caught, and it's not a good vibe. But if that could be totally eliminated with this technology, so it didn't mention that at all in the story, but it's powerful technology. This it's a form of AI. It's recognizing every single thing that's on the shelf, and if it somehow moves from the store. Which is there's a way to eliminate theft with this new technology. I know there is. So, all right, there's my thoughts on that. Scott Adams, who really I don't even link to this. That's unfortunate. But he has a theory about Kamala Harris. First of all, I want to say one thing about Scott Adams. He has become the biggest Trump apologist on the planet Earth. I mean, Scott Adams is a smart man, and he attributes his own intelligence to everyone. I think he thinks everyone's as smart as he is. Not everyone's as smart as you, Scott Adams. Okay, not everyone thinks as deep and can analyze things like you. And the president of the United States, he's not as smart as you. I'll put it nicely. And so I don't know. I think part of it is Scott Adams wants to be proven right too, like that he's right about Trump. So he makes up these explanations of why Trump is doing this and why it isn't bad that Trump did. Trump isn't perfect. Okay. This is not what I even meant, but I'm just saying it's become a point. It's come to a point with Scott Adams where it's like almost a sickness. The defense he comes up with for Trump, it's very odd. And what's it? It's Dunning-Kruger. It's called when you're not smart, and so you think everyone is on the same level, that everyone else is an idiot, that you're the smartest in the world. Well, the opposite is true too. It's part of that theory, the Dunning-Kruger theory, that when you're so smart, you don't understand that not everyone's on the same level as you, that they're just people that do stupid things. And I think Scott Adams sometimes falls into that. He's a smart guy. So, but one thing that he came up with, a very good theory. He noticed now that Kamala Harris has declared herself, she's running for president, that some of the traditional liberal media organizations out there, like CNN, have started to attack other Democratic challengers, have said, and are giving her really awesome stories And it makes sense. I mean, she is the black woman. She is from California. And so they're going for that. They want the opposite of Trump, which is a black woman. He's a white man. The black woman is the opposite of that. So there's a lot of social pressure now from celebrities, and that they don't want to seem like they're supporting a white guy. They go with a black woman. To fit in. If you're in Hollywood, if you're in the media, you name a black woman, run for you're in like Flynn, man. Everyone will like you. You have friends. So even if you support a guy who's pretending to be Hispanic like Beto, you can get ripped on. Now, again, you can. There's some people that are going to still like him and everything like that. But it does look Scott Adams has a point here. He's making some good analysis when he's seeing that there even been some bad Beto articles recently, so that they're trying to propel her to the top of the heap now, because that's just the mindset of a lot of people that are in the media. They're so against Trump, I guess they want the opposite of him, and she's the opposite. She's a black woman. I mean, and they break it down by race and sex. I mean, it's sickening. It is sickening. And again, that's why it's a big soap opera. And again, this makes it a bigger soap opera when it's going to be a black woman against a white man. And so don't fall for it. Don't get too emotional about it and stuff. But I think he made some good analysis there. That it's clear a big hunk of the media and the celebrities out there, this is the easy choice. Black woman, why not? And she's in California, where a lot of them are based anyway. So just pointing it out. Prepare, do what you're going to do, but don't get obsessed with it, people. There's a tweet out there. Well, first of all, I read a story. Remember last week I talked about Oumuamua? It's apparently an asteroid from another solar system that some people think could be an alien probe. So someone at an Australian newspaper wrote a story about it, but got it confused with fast radio burst. I forgot what they're called. It's another phenomenon, but from many galaxies away. Okay, it has nothing to do with this asteroid. Completely confused the two stories, and wrote this article that was like totally fake news. It was so poorly researched. I thought it was like some artificial intelligence news gatherer had just combined 3 stories into one. And I couldn't believe when I was reading this. And so I looked up the story on Twitter, and like no one had said anything about it except one guy in Australia. He was like totally offended by it also. Now and so I include his tweet below so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. The reason I bring this up is because just because it's in a newspaper, in an Australian newspaper, Canadian newspaper, United States newspaper, and it looks all nice and fancy, got a lot of nice pictures, it can be so wrong. I mean, again, this conflated like 3 different things. I forgot what the third thing was now, but it was clearly they quoted the wrong guy when they were talking about Oumuamua, and then the fast radio burst. I mean, it was all fast radio bursts have nothing to do with Oumuamua. Nothing at all. And they were saying that Avi Loeb had been proven wrong. He had been proven wrong because of the fast radio burst. It made no sense. He was talking about Oumuamua, which is not fast radio. You can do your own. All you have to do is watch Avi Loeb. Read the sources that are quoted in these papers. How about that? Sometimes they'll talk about the person, and if they say this person has been proven wrong, go read what the person wrote and then get the real story. Okay, how about that? There's a news tip, because obviously somebody. And again, I emailed the guy who tweeted this out, who agreed with me that it was who was ashamed of how fake a story this was and how wrong it was. And he wrote to me and he said, hey, no, it was a real author, a real person interviewed, was interviewing people for this. So yeah, there's obviously some really horrible people right in the news industry now. I don't know if they're young or they don't know how to write or they're just they're rushed. I don't know, but it was an embarrassment. Now, speaking about embarrassments, and most people weren't going to catch it because it's about scientific subjects. And I'm not saying I'm a scientist or anything, but I know darn well the difference between Oumuamua and fast radio burst. Okay, that they're completely different things. Completely different things. All right. So, but a lot of people don't know that. And again, so many subject matters people don't know the ins and outs of, and they can be easily convinced that someone has been proven wrong just because the writer throws out a lot of big fancy terms. So the thing that happened in we'll talk about the Covington guys, the Covington kids that were at the March for Life, I guess it was a week ago, and everybody got on their case and said they were racist or against the Native American guy. And, you know, we all found out it was totally fake news. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, I mean, there's not much more I can add to it, but there's something that the media really isn't hitting on that much. And that is the Black Hebrews, the group of Black guys that were just screaming nonsense at the kids, okay? Screaming hateful nonsense. And these Black Hebrews, this group, this cult, they're a cult. I have seen them in Baltimore City before, near Lexington Market, okay? They do the same thing. They take pleasure in screaming and cursing at people on the street. That's what they do. They think, and they're reading from the Bible. They scream at Black people. They scream at white people. They scream at anyone they can scream at. I seriously doubt that most Black people like the Black Hebrews screaming at them near Lexington Market in Baltimore City. I wouldn't be surprised if the Black Hebrews that were down in D.C. were the ones from Baltimore. I have no idea, nor do I care where they emanated from, where that sewage came from, okay? But I linked to it. You can look up Black Hebrews on YouTube, Black Hebrews Baltimore, and you will see them at the Inner Harbor of Baltimore screaming at people. That is what they do. They scream at people. They incite. And again, you should totally ignore them. And that's what those kids actually did. And as you can see in the videos that the Black Hebrews post, a lot of grown-ups can't ignore them and get in arguments with them. That's what they like. They get some pleasure out of having people. And again, they yell at Black people. They yell at white people. They yell and they curse. They have foul mouths. They do it in very public areas near Lexington Market, near the subway stop in Baltimore, whether in the Inner Harbor. I haven't seen them in the Inner Harbor. And there's like a part of me that thinks I've seen him in Philadelphia before. I don't know what. I know I've seen him in Lexington Market in Baltimore, near the Lexington Market subway stop on Utah Street, which is, again, you see all sorts of stuff there. But yet, these people to somehow, if these guys were painted as innocent at any part in any stories, which I think they were, these guys are the biggest troublemakers in the world, and they're scum and they're vermin, and you can see it in their videos. They take great pleasure in screaming at people. That's their, and here I linked to a New York Times article about it. They see divine intervention in Lincoln Memorial confrontation. Yeah. I mean, they think they are, by screaming at people, they're doing God's work. Or maybe they just like the attention. I don't know. It's outrageous what they do. They're comparable to the West Baptist Church. What are they called? The ones from Missouri that says God hates the F word, or they protest at funerals. Westboro Baptist Church. They're like the Black equivalent of that, basically. They just say that their signs aren't as offensive, but they just scream at people. They scream at people. So they're not good dudes, okay? And I think the media has kind of they shouldn't be given that much attention. I'll tell you that. But that it was painted at one point as if these evil Catholic boys had a confrontation with some Black guys. Ran the Black. They're not. Those weren't ran the Black dudes, dude. Those guys are looking. They are looking for confrontation with anyone of any race that is not them, that doesn't believe in whatever. I don't know what they believe in, to tell you the truth. I don't think they know what they believe in. They like to scream at people in the Inner Harbor or in D.C. or at Lexington Market or wherever. And again, you can see them. Go to lovely Baltimore City. You can see them. Lovely place. All right. So, yes, I am from the Baltimore area, of course. Pound that like button. All right. I'm in Tel Aviv right now, just in case you didn't know. Let me see. Social media. Oh, yeah. Another thing that I want to point out. That this whole, this thing with the Covington kids and the Native American guy, this would, imagine if it was 2003, or 2004, 2005. I mean, that's not that long ago. This would not have existed. This whole thing, the technology was not there. Maybe the cell phone cameras might have been, but the social media, how it just spread over Twitter so fast. Like, this type of situation that got these kids into the situation they got into, to framing innocent kids by like the mob, the mob that is just looking for offense. They're looking for offense. This could not have happened without technology. It is amazing what technology can do, what it can create, what it has, what this world has become because of social media and the technology, that this was impossible. This type of mobbing was impossible just over 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. I don't know. But who knows? Again, technology is good. Technology can be used a bad way too. And if you know what the truth is, then you should stand up for the truth. You know, if you're friends with these guys, and said people did get behind these guys who personally knew these guys and said, you know, this is a joke. This is the school is not about this. This is nonsense. Why is everyone piling on them? So I don't know if you ever get into a situation where you see someone's being piled on that you know, and you know the truth. You should defend them. You really should defend them. Again, there's so many people who don't defend them because they don't want to be social media mobbed. They don't want to lose their job. They want to fit in. I'm so glad that I'm not part of that. Where if someone that I knew was being mobbed and attacked by the social media mob, trying to say, you know, you're one of the hated groups now. I'm offended by you. Your life must be destroyed. I would fight back for that person, and I'm glad I can do that because of having Bitcoin and everything like that. And Bitcoin gives you that freedom. It gives you the freedom to defend people who are unjustly attacked by these social media mobs. I mean, this is the thing now. If one person feels they see something and they're like, oh, that's offensive, and they won't even look into the story, and then they want attention because they're narcissists. So, and then when everyone will look at how pretty they are, how virtue signaling they are, so they don't care if they destroy some 16-year-olds and 17-year-old lives, and they think that most people aren't going to defend them anyway. So why not? What's there to lose? There's no punishment. So if you're above all that in the Bitcoin overlay, you can laugh at it and smile at all those jokers wasting their time on that. But if you know someone that's personally involved, that's being attacked, go out and support them, man. Go out. That's a good thing to do. And so, obviously those kids were unjustly attacked. It's insane. It's insane that the Black Hebrews could be involved in a situation like that, and they're made out to be good guys. I mean, what a naive world we live in. The people on social media, the little snowflakes who twisted around the story to make the Black Hebrews look like victims. I'd love to see them walk on the streets of Lexington Market, on Utah near Lexington Market, and when you see them pissing their pants when a Black Hebrew started screaming at them. I mean, come on now. All right. It's easy to be a mob. It's easy to be a social media mob, and where you don't have to face people face to face. These people don't get out into the real world. And again, I encourage you to be in the real world. It's not that scary for someone who has confidence in themselves to walk on Utah Street and to walk on Lexington Market and be the only white guy walking around there and see those Black Hebrews screaming at you. You're not. It's good. They're just words. It's just words, man. It's just words. Seriously, makes you stronger. I'm not advising you do something like that. But these people who try to frame don't even know that they're making these nitwits into heroic people. They couldn't even approach those nitwits in real life. They'd be scared out of their anything of those of the Hebrews. And I'm not. I don't want to put any positivity toward those Hebrews. You go see them yourself. And again, I link to their videos below. You can look them up, Black Hebrews Baltimore, and you will be like, what? And again, you'll see they scream the stuff they were screaming at those Covington kids. They scream at everyone. It's ridiculous. Okay, enough of them. What is this? Oh yeah, Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren proposes a wealth tax on those with more than $50 million in assets. Emmanuel says, a left-leaning economist advising Warren, said her plan is to impose a 2% tax on Americans with more than $50 million in assets and a 3% tax on those with more than $1 billion in assets. Additionally, a one-time tax penalty would be imposed on those who have more than $50 million in assets and attempt to renounce their U.S. citizenship. All right. Now, a lot of you are just saying, $50 million? Why not? Why not tax them 2% a year? It's not fair. If they have $75 million worth of assets, they should be, 2% of their wealth over $50 million should be taken away every year. That would, at first, that what if they have $75 million in assets, so 2% of 25 million, I'm doing this off of the top of my head, is 500,000. Yeah, tax of $500,000 just because they own a lot of assets. So then that person would have to sell some of their assets and write a check to the government for $500,000. I mean, that is just pure jealousy. Why can't a person have more than $50 million worth of assets so they can pass it on to their children? I mean, or they can decide when they're going to spend, when they're going to liquefy those assets that they were smart enough to gather. And you know what's fun? It's not funny, actually, that if she actually became president and she would start her term in 2021, there is a chance that by that point, there could be people who back in 2003, 4, and 15 spent about $100,000 on 500 Bitcoin and be worth more than $50 million at that point. I mean, it's theoretically possible. If you have 500 Bitcoin, you could be worth more than $50 million in the 2020s when this woman is president, and you would be forced to sell some of your Bitcoin in order to pay the wealth tax. They're just taxing your wealth. It's just a random thing to pick. It really is a random thing to pick. No, it's not. It's because it's what rich people have. And again, it would force people to liquefy some of their assets. And why should someone be forced to liquefy some of their Bitcoin? Again, so if you're even if you think that Elizabeth Warren can become president of the United States, and I don't think she can, but if you do, and again, you should plan ahead. You should maybe have another, and there's some personal responsibility involved here. If you know about this now, plan ahead. How are you going to avoid such a situation? And you can't, if you renounce your citizenship when she's president, she's going to find you then. I made sure to add that. I think it's a very important point there. They know that people will immediately try to renounce their citizenship if this gets passed. Of course. They don't want to live under this tyranny where people could just take your wealth and say, now the game has changed. You're worth $75 million. We figured out you're worth $75 million. So you got to write a $500,000 check this year, then every single year until you're under $50 million again. It's 2%. Again, the number would go down every year, but you would have to keep on paying a 2% tax on your wealth until you're under $50 million in value. And again, some of you are laughing, oh, $50 million, they're so rich. Yeah, they worked their butts off. They thought ahead. This is a tax on smart people, a tax on long-term thinkers. So yeah, clearly something I don't support at all. And yeah, if you have $100 million in value in assets, okay, and this is implemented, and you pay that 2% tax every year, it's going to eat away at your $100 million pretty darn. We're talking big checks you're writing every single year that you can. Again, you won't be able to pass it on to your kids. You won't be able to do what you want to do with it. You'll be forced to, or you could just spend it on frivolous things. And that's what it comes down to. They want you to spend. And long-term thinkers don't spend frivolously. They think and they save. And that's how they become worth over $50 million one day. So for all those people who say, oh, you got to spend your Bitcoin, you got to spend your Bitcoin, some of them are of a similar mindset to this economist of Elizabeth Warren, who's encouraging her to do this. And yes, this will drive away the rich. It will drive away the smart, because if the smart people think she's got a chance of winning and it's the year 2020, they're going to renounce their citizenship beforehand. Okay? A rich person who's worth over $50 million, they can live anywhere. Trust me, they can live anywhere. I'm not worth over $50 million, and I can live anywhere. I figured it out how to do it. I'm nowhere close to anything like that. But long-term thinkers can figure out a way to live, to figure out how to renounce their United States citizenship and to live it very comfortably somewhere else or in numerous other places. We're creative. Long-term thinkers are creative, okay? And they will find a way, and this will be a negative for the United States to force people to give their money away it's a tax on smart long-term thinkers. It encourages waste and jealousy. I linked to the Warren's proposal, of course, is a progressive wealth tax in which, 2% rate does not apply to the first 50 million, and I said that. And the 3% rate only kicks in when you have more than $1 billion. Okay, great. If you try to hoard wealth, the government is going to tax it. So you might as well spend it. Someone said that. You should have the right to hoard wealth. It's not, it's saving, dude. It's saving. The government shouldn't be in the business of defining who's a hoarder and who should be forced to spend. Taxfoundation.org, Warren wealth tax, Senator Warren's wealth tax is problematic. Okay. If there's going to be a tax, I don't like any taxes, but let there be a consumption tax. That's the best one of all the taxes. Only have a national sales tax. You don't have to buy anything, so you don't have to pay a tax. It's a volunteer tax, basically. You're not volunteer. I mean, you're spending. Okay, it's not on how much you make; it's on how much you spend. That would be a fairer tax. I'm not into taxes at all, though. But I would be much more in favor of just one tax, a national sales tax. That's it. Instead of taxing someone's income, and then smart people do have ways of figuring it out, and maybe a way of avoiding a wealth tax is the worst. That's just ridiculous. It discourages savings, and that's what this whole fiat system is based on. And as you can tell, I'm getting into this because Bitcoin is about savings. It's about savings. It's about a store of value, and this wealth tax is the opposite of store of value. They steal from the rich. It's not punishing it's punishing the rich for the mistakes of the impulsive. Okay. Again, this is good. It's to redistribute wealth to people who've made poor decisions, to fund all of her programs or all of whoever. Again, so we're hearing all these proposals now about tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich. Again, it is jealousy. Try to be the rich. That should be the attitude. We have this envy disease in the United States or in the Western world right now, scapegoating the rich. It's not their fault that you're that you're in bad shape financially. Take personal responsibility. Aim to be them. Don't aim to attack them, because you're not going to have them around too much longer. They'll leave. And then how are you going to fund everything? How are you going to live off of the government then? It won't be as fun. There's something here that I wrote down. I can't find it. It was a good quote. 1 second here. Man, I thought I said something else here. Okay, might as well spend it, I said. All right, sorry about this. All right, yeah. So yeah, we talked about how there actually could be some God willing, there are Bitcoin people that are worth over $50 million in the year 2021. That would be great. Wouldn't it? Pound that like button. Moving on. What's this? Oh yeah, the economic invincibility. He's a guy with a channel. He wrote. He has a video that I linked to below called "I'm sick of 4D chess." He's sick of people just coming up with excuses for Trump. That he's sick of people who make politicians into saviors. Okay, they don't exist. They really don't exist. They don't put these guys onto pedestals where they're perfect, and every single thing they do, they've got it all planned out. Every single thing they do is right. Again, we cannot attribute just genius to these politicians, that they're playing 4D chess all the time. They're not. They're regular humans. It's a soap opera, and all the politicians want you to be part of their soap opera. So you become more dependent, more obsessed with them, cede control of your life to them. They want you to be obsessed. So I think some of the things that Trump does, he doesn't know what he's doing. Some of the things he's doing for attention and just to keep you going, he is good at getting people's attention, but you don't want to get caught in that to a point where you're worshiping, where you're putting, whether it be Trump or Elizabeth Warren or whoever, on a pedestal where they can do no wrong. That it's a sickness. It's a sickness that we have all these people out there making these excuses for every politician and their mother. They're playing 4D chess. No, they're not. They make mistakes also. They don't always make the right move. And just get yourself into a situation where you're not dependent on them making the right or the wrong move. That's what I say. So Stephen, and I've said that many, many times, but it's a good video. So look at it, watch it. Steven Crowder has a video out there. And he's talking about the Covington Kids again. Someone on the show shouts out, the Native American reservations, because the story did revolve around a Native American guy, They are the example of socialism in America. That's socialism right there. A Native American reservation. All those people get government checks. Their housing is provided by the government. Everything, their food is provided by the government. That's what you get with socialism, people. Go to the reservation and go see what a lovely life they have there. What dependency, that's dependency. They are 100%, basically 100% dependent on the United States government, on government checks there. And it's not a pretty scene at all. It is not a pretty scene. He also points out the obvious, that they're saying that this, the guy in the Covington, with yelling at the Covington, or playing the drums, that he's an elder. Everyone keeps on using the word elder. That dude looks like a meth head. I mean, he really does. Why can't people come? I mean, it's like, what kind of world are we living in here now? Elder. He's this wise elder. He's a lying meth head, it looks like. That's what it looks like. He's definitely a liar. He doesn't look too healthy. And it is really, it is horribly unfortunate. The addiction problems that plague, it's not funny that the addiction problems that plague the Native American communities. But again, this is socialism. I mean, it's bad. Dependency breeds a lot of different problems. And it's a downward spiral. You got to take, if you're part of that community, if you're on a reservation, you happen to be watching this, take personal responsibility. Get the heck off the reservation, dude. Just become self-sufficient. Avoid drugs. Avoid alcohol, and just get away from that. Run as far as away you can. And it's a shame. It's really a sad situation that socialism on the reservation. The reservations those are sad places, and the people. It's unfortunate that a community has become that reliant on the government, and you see what it has brought up. Okay, now we brought up drugs beforehand. There's a company called Anchorage Cannabis, and they had a Super Bowl ad. They wanted to do a Super Bowl ad, and it got rejected. Of course it got rejected. I linked to it below. I think it was, I assume, and maybe I'm being a Scott Adams here. I assume they made this ad because they knew that it would be rejected. And that once it got rejected, everybody would watch it on YouTube. That it was just a publicity stunt. I think if it was a publicity stunt, then they did a great job. They really did a great job. But if you watch this video, there's no way it was going to get approved by CBS. There's no way. There's no way. And again, you can say what you want about cannabis, and that's not what this is. Everyone's got a different opinion. Again, if you're really sick, if you're truly sick, and you use it as medication, then yeah, I think it's fine. I think it does help with some medical problems. Some of the ones that are actually brought up in this advertisement, it shows a kid having a seizure. And so, yeah, if you're a young person that's very, very ill and has horrible seizures and there's no cure, and yeah, of course, this is Anchorage Cannabis is a solution. Now, what happens when we've had this medical marijuana is that so many people in California or whatever, they make up their own little problems that they have, and because they're addicted to pot and they need. No, that's not too cool. But I mean, if you have a real sickness, yeah, it does help. It does help. But again, if you're a healthy person, avoid drugs. Seriously, avoid drugs. I live a very healthy lifestyle. Here are my drugs, right? This garlic. That's my. Those are my drugs. There, garlic. Pound that like button. I know garlic does not cure everything. There are people that have very serious problems, and they are depicted in this video that clearly CBS would never approve. And so, good for this Anchorage Cannabis for pulling this off, because they had to have known this was not going to get approved, and now they're getting a lot of publicity for their company, and hopefully they're into doing good, into helping really sick people. That this is just not a way to sell marijuana to, some 16-year-old kid or whatever. That's perfectly fine. And then, I don't think 16-year-old kids that are perfectly fine should experiment with marijuana at all. And of course, I was a 16-year-old kid once, and I knew 16-year-old kids who did that. I don't think it is good for their brains. I'm not saying they were brain damaged, but I do know people who are smarter than me, who at least had higher IQs than me. I assume they did. I mean, I can tell when someone's smarter than me. I think I can, at least. I went to
I went to a good college and I went to a very nice high school also. So there were always lots of kids that were smarter than me. And some of them who got involved with drugs, they're not very successful. Like, not at all. And it was marijuana they got involved with. It slowed them down. It retarded their progress. It really did. And that's a shame. That's a shame, because they had so much potential I can see with some of these people's brains. I mean, I couldn't understand all the stuff they talked about back then. They were on a little bit of a higher level, and you should be willing to admit that. You should be, if you could tell if someone's smarter than you, I think you're in very good shape socially. I really think you are. Because there's some people, again, that's the Dunning-Kruger thing, that think they're the smartest. They're the smart, and they're not even smart. That's the thing. Okay. But yeah, everyone knows my stance on drugs. If you're not sick, just try, be healthy, eat healthy foods, exercise, do research, read. Don't watch mindless shows, and don't get caught up in mindless politics. Red meat and cancer video. So here we go. Here's something you can research. Red meat gets a bad rap. It really does get a bad rap. It does not it's not as bad as people say it is. Eating all that sugar, eating all that bread, eating, some of these studies on people that you watch the video yourself, but some of these studies they've done on red meat are on people who eat horribly, or they're lazy, they don't exercise, they sit down all day, they're watching TV all the time, or they're smokers, or they have other issues. So some of these studies have been, you can guide them in the way you want to, and make red meat look bad. This guy talks about how red meat is not bad. Watch the video, you can decide for yourself. Okay, and then I'll talk about that next week. So here from the bread and circuses. This is last part of the video here. From the land of bread and circuses. This is unbelievable. And this is just a reminder that this is an 80%er world. The people, fans of the New Orleans Saints, have they filed a lawsuit, and they put up because their team lost the NFC title game to the LA Rams. The New Orleans Saints fans have spent their money and their time on lawsuits and billboards against the NFL. It's just a game, dudes. They're not changing their mind. You're putting them on a pedestal. You're making it's unbelievable. What a waste. What a just falling into the bread and circuses world of today, to get that amped up and angry and triggered by a freaking game that you're spending money, you're spending on billboards, you're spending on lawsuits, on something that's not going to change, and it's just a game. Oh my Lord. That's why if you're a 20%er with Bitcoin, you should be laughing your butt off at something like that. You're going to coast. You're going to coast, because most people get caught up in nonsense like this. Just avoid such nonsense. Stay healthy. Stay in motion. Have a strong hand. Pound that like button. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Long-term thinking. Do not be impulsive. And yeah, don't be jealous. So much jealousy and envy in this world. You improve yourself. Don't worry about what other people are doing. You put take into account all the circumstances. If Elizabeth Warren's about to be president, you better make some moves at that point, of course. But again, if you know about it in advance, you can talk to people and say, this wealth tax thing is nonsense. Stop being jealous of the rich people. Stop being envious, okay? Stop being envious. All right, I'm Adam Meister, Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video. Check out the link section below. Pound that like button. Bang that bell button. Click on those squares. We'll have a regular The One Bitcoin show tomorrow on Sunday. Check out the archives for all the old shows. I'll talk to you guys in the chat. Bye.